Yo, what's up guys, it's Turner and today we're back with a brand new video. So the videos that I'm going to be making this week are based on the Winners Round 1 matchups. So I'm going to have one of those coming out every day. I think the tournament starts on the 20th, so my last video should come out around, I think, the first day of matches. So I'll have one video every day. Um, and then obviously I'll have one throughout the middle of the weekend probably. But the first match that we're going to be talking about is obviously the one that everyone probably wants to see, and that is Optic Texas versus Boston Breach. So this one is interesting because these teams actually just played, and the result was, I think, an Optic 3-0 or a 3-1. Obviously, throughout the qualifiers, Optic has been the strongest team. I would say. I think most people would probably say. I think that they've just kind of been able to up their teamwork to a point where we kind of didn't see really before. And I think that kind of shows when you look at some of the other teams that they're ahead of. Um, Obviously, I covered some of their matches in the last one, and I don't have a thing to show all of their matches like in the order, but they come out with a 15-3 record, which I think is super impressive. Um, I think it just kind of shows how good that they are and kind of the pace that they're on. Their hardpoint is looking insane. I think they're like 8-0 in hardpoint or something like that. And their search and their control is coming along to a point where I think that they're comfortable with and that could possibly even win them Major 4. So, looking at some of the stats for both of these teams, kind of shifting it more towards Boston. Um, when you look at the KDs between both of these rosters and the players they've had in, obviously Vivid is in there, but he is not playing. Kremp is stepping in for him. And if we look at the KD disparity, I mean, you can kind of see it just from there. The only person with a positive KD on the Boston team is Awakening and Kremp. Beans has a .99, which isn't bad. Nero has a .97. But when you go look at the standings, even Boston Breach 2-3. And some of those losses I don't think were very. I guess I wouldn't say were very competitive. I think the Optic one is kind of the one that comes to mind. Also, the one today against New York, the day I'm recording this, is the Sunday after the matches. So I think that after seeing that and after seeing the Optic series, I don't really think that Boston has a chance in this series, to be honest. I think if Texas is playing the way that they have been, um, I think that they should probably smoke them. As you kind of look at the KDs for these players, overall KD for Hook, he's a 1.15, Dashi with a 1.11, Shotzi with a 1.11, and Ghosty with a .95. But there's also a lot of kills on the map, so it's kind of hard. Or there's only so many kills on the map, so it's kind of hard to really gauge if it's just Ghosty playing bad or if like his teammates are just killing everything. And I think that for a lot of people that don't really play competitive COD, I think it's a lot different. Like there's a different perspective. Because when you're just watching it, you can see Ghosty's .95 and think, well, that's not very good. But I think he's making more of an impact on the team than some other players would, even with say like a higher KD. Um, so I think that he was probably the perfect fit for this Optic roster. We've kind of seen their teamwork just start to mesh and click the past couple of weeks in the qualifiers. And obviously they end up going 5-0, so you can kind of see that. But some highlights for the Optic roster, I think Hook is probably going to have to keep up that search presence that he's had. As you guys can see here, he has a 2.14 in search and destroy. That is insane. Um, Hopefully he keeps that up because I think him bringing that to the roster just makes that roster that much better. And I think that when a lot of people talk about like will Pred replace Hook in the offseason, I think if he keeps playing like this, I'm not sure there's a way you really can, to be honest. But yeah. So looking at some of the other players, Shotzi with a .77. I think that's I guess 0.77's like kind of for them, but it is a concern, right? Because when you watch the Optic teams and some of the other majors and stuff, Shotzi either dies very early in the round or he makes a play very early in the round. You're kind of starting to see his discipline a little bit more, but I'm almost wondering if for him, like if that's going to be like a help or a hurt thing. I think in respawn, I think before he definitely needed to play a little more like structured and not just kind of fly out and die at times. I think for S&D, I think I mean, he's been a playmaker for them just for like when he was on the Empire team, especially. Like he's been like that for since he came into the league. So I'm wondering if that'll kind of hurt his playstyle a bit. But in terms of looking at the Boston KDs, Awakening with a 1.18, Kremp with a 1.0, Beans with a 0.92, and Euro with a 0.81. Um, Now, if you look at Vivid's KD, Vivid has a 1.18. I'm almost like, I don't know. I wonder if Boston's kind of regretting the change and if they would have rather subbed Vivid out for, or Nero out for Kremp. I think Kremp was a big pickup, but I think that Vivid brings a lot more to the table. I think he's always been a really good search player. I think it's just, I don't, like, very weird for me. Um, Especially when you kind of go down and look at the stats of you know them throughout the entirety of the league. And I'll get to the control KDs because that's the disparity that you kind of see. Like the whole season, I would say Vivid and Nero have been not the same, but they both have very good game modes, and they have one where they are struggling heavily. So I think bringing Krempen was kind of a way for them to maybe bridge the gap a little bit more, and be strong in the same mode so that then they can rely on that mode to just be a map win for them instead of just kind of relying on somebody having to go off for them to win a map. Just making it more consistent overall, I think, was like the main point of bringing Kremp in. Um, so if we go look at the control KDs, as you can see here, this is Vivid's. He has a point 0.9, and Nero with a 1.14. So that's where I'm saying the disparity comes in between those two. Is Vivid Search is really good, while Nero's is not as good. Um, and Nero's control is really good, while Vivid's is not as good. I feel like, I mean, as you guys have kind of seen, if both your subs are playing well, I feel like it's very easy to win maps. And just like be more of a dominant team instead of just super inconsistent. And I think you kind of seen that the past stage with Hook and Shotzi playing the way that they have. I think Major One you saw with Hydra and um, Kismet. And I think that even like the last major, I think you saw it with Kleenex. And I would say Hixie, but I think Hixie and Kleenex's dynamic was a little bit different. They both weren't really frying, but one of them was doing what needed to be done, which was Hixie, while Kleenex was kind of just flying around and doing his thing. I think they played super into their strengths and their comforts, so I think that was super beneficial for them. I think Boston could be a team like that could do that. If Kremp kind of gets a little more settled, but personally, if I were them, I probably wouldn't have benched Vivid in the first place, and I think that that's kind of the biggest story for me when it comes to this series and even the match they played before. I don't think Nero is going to be able to keep up with Shotzi and Hook, um, while Kremp might be able to. He's younger, just a lot more, I guess, raw. Um, I feel like as players go on in their careers, they kind of take a really a slower approach, but like there's just a lot more to think about, right? When you come in, you're fresh, you want to do whatever it takes. Like your drive is crazy. I think when you've been there for a while, uh, it starts to take a toll. Um, Especially when you've been kind of playing with the same core group of guys for a while. And I think Nero's kind of had his 2 years to kind of establish himself, and he's had pop-off moments, and he's also had moments of inconsistency. But that's just his play style. So I think for them, I think looking to get maybe Vivid back or get another sub is going to be more consistent to go along with Kremp. It's going to go a long way for them because obviously we know the skill ceiling of their ARs. If you don't want to bring Vivid back in, you could even bring in a Pentagram, who was Kremp's duo. Um, but yeah, so I think when I break down these two teams and I put them side by side, um, maybe there's a world where Boston wins, but overall, I think Optic's probably going to take this one pretty handedly. Um, I think the players you kind of want to look out for in this match is Hook. See if he can keep up that form that he's had online the whole qualifier. Because I think that he's kind of their X factor. If he plays super well, then I think they'll just be kind of rolling through everybody, to be honest. But yeah. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to leave a like down below. Let me know what you guys think about this matchup and who you think will win. And I will see you guys in the next video tomorrow. Peace out. Make sure to leave a like and see you guys later.